I'm so excited to announce that I'll be hosting my annual MBA degree program open house on this date here. Now, if you've ever heard me talk about the program and wondered what it would be like to join me and be one of my students, then I invite you to join us live for this event. Now, during the open house, I'll be giving one sample lesson from the program, and I'll be answering questions live, so you'll experience exactly what it's like to be a student in the program. And everybody attending will receive a free course. Just for showing up, you're going to get some of my best stuff. In addition, I'll be giving away one scholarship for my Gold MBA program and one scholarship for my Platinum MBA program, as well as a one-on-one call with me where I will humbly help you with anything related to getting a job, starting a business, getting promoted, making your LinkedIn profile from scratch, and much, much more. So please don't miss out on my Haroun Education MBA open house on this date here. And trust me, you don't want to miss this awesome event, and I can't wait to see you there. Thank you. Good morning and welcome to our 181st weekly webcast. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way this call works is this is an AMA, meaning ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, you can ask me career questions, you can ask me anything you want. And my goal is to humbly help you take your career to the next level. Now, as you saw in the opening trailer video, tomorrow I've got my annual open house event, and I'd love to have you all join us. And so if you want to join us, it's 11 a.m. tomorrow, Friday, the 29th of April, Pacific time, 11 a.m. And I'll talk about the MBA program. Everybody attending will get multiple prizes, and somebody will win a full scholarship to my next MBA degree program, meaning the Gold and Platinum version, which starts this June 1st. Okay, and if you have questions about it, you can always go to harouneducation.com/FAQ, all lowercase, or go to my main website, harounmba.com. And all the FAQs are listed there, a bunch of videos, etc. Or you can ask me right now. Okay, let's get to the important stuff, which is all of you. And I saw this morning that it looks like United States gross domestic product for the most recent quarter was down over 1% year over year. Okay, that's like revenue for the country, GDP. And if we have another consecutive quarter of down year over year, which I think there might be, then that's technically referred to as a recession. So it's kind of scary, but we're definitely seeing a big slowdown. Everybody is seeing a slowdown. You saw Netflix results last week. A lot of other companies reporting earnings are seeing a commensurate slowdown. Okay, let me get to your questions. All right. First up, I've got here, Renveer wrote, "Hello, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Likewise, you posted this last night, it looks like. I want to open a hedge fund." Cool. "Is it still possible for a new hedge fund to beat the market nowadays? P.S. I'm working on joining the MBA soon. Thank you. I'd love to have you join. Appreciate it." Yeah. So it's really difficult to start a hedge fund. What you have to do is you have to work at larger hedge funds usually first and have a track record. Or at least know some very wealthy people to invest. Now, I've raised and managed over $1 billion in my career. I made plenty of mistakes, and I want to help you be able to raise money as well. And so in my MBA program, I talk about a lot of advanced networking concepts that will help you to raise money. It's not guaranteed, but I promise you it will work because you only have to be right in business one time. Now, in terms of hedge funds outperforming, meaning generating alpha, that's what they call it. What happens is if the S&P 500 is up, say, 10% one year, and your fund is up 11%, that means you've outperformed by 100 basis points. And we refer to that as alpha, 100 basis points of alpha. And that's why hedge funds can charge large fees if they can outperform. The typical hedge fund charges 2 and 20. And what that means is this. They charge a 2% annual management fee, and then they get 20% of the profits. So if you make $100 investing in a hedge fund, you only get $80 back. They get $20 of it. It's very difficult to outperform, very difficult, because a lot of hedge funds are very short-term focused, and the government is cracking down as well on insider information. Now, I used to work in the hedge fund industry. I've never broken any laws, but I visited plenty of friends in jail that did. And nobody else would visit my friends once they got arrested and the FBI went and raided their houses. But I always run towards my friends when something bad happens. And when you go to jail, it's because of insider information. What that means is this. If you hear something, and it doesn't matter if you own a hedge fund or you're a regular investor like us, if you hear something from somebody about how a company is progressing in their current quarter, and if that's not publicly available to everybody, if you trade on that or tell other people that trade on that, then you can go to jail. I know it seems really out there, but ignorance of the financial laws are no excuse, like any laws really. And so if, let's say, you're lining up at a Starbucks one day and you hear of a couple of employees standing in front of you that work at Intel, ticker INTC, this is an Intel chip, and they say that we're going to miss this quarter, meaning they're not going to sell as much product. And if you transact on that or tell other people that transact on that, you can go to jail. It's terrifying. And nobody is above the law. Now, we're seeing the same thing happen right now with Microsoft and Activision. So Microsoft announced about a $70 billion takeover of Activision back in January. And a day or two before the Microsoft announcement of acquiring Activision, Bobby Kotick, who's the CEO and founder of Activision, I've met him plenty of times, funny guy. Bobby Kotick met with David Geffen as well as Barry Diller. And then what happened was both those gentlemen, Geffen and Diller, who do wonderful things for charities, I can't believe they did this, they bought a ton of call options on Activision and made a lot of money when the stock went up a couple days later. And this is publicly disclosed. The SEC is investigating this. The Wall Street Journal broke the news a couple of weeks ago. But if you break the law when it comes to hearing something about a stock that not everybody hears, again, you can go to jail. So please be careful. And if anybody has additional questions about that, please let me know. The bottom line is a lot of hedge funds don't outperform anymore because the government has really cracked down on insider information. You got to be long-term focused, like Warren Buffett, who said, the longer the view, the wiser the intention. Okay. All right. Cool. Next question. And don't ever raise money for your company or any company without talking to a lawyer to, number one, create the financial documents to register your company. So if you get sued, they can't take your stuff. And number two, get a lawyer to create an investment offering memorandum. Now, any company going public or trying to raise money, they have to write what's called an investment offering memorandum. So when Facebook went public back in 2012, this document here was created by a bunch of lawyers and investment bankers, I'm so sorry, right? And it basically lists all the risks right here. So you make sure that you have an investment offering memorandum written for you. If you live in the United States, you can always go to LegalZoom.com and hire a lawyer on the cheap to do it. If you live elsewhere, just search for what is the equivalent in my country of LegalZoom.com. Okay. All right. Next up, Ju Young wrote, "Hi, Chris. I wish I could watch you live, but it will be 3 a.m. in New Zealand. Thank you for posting the question early. So I can't, but I'll watch the replay. Thank you." You wrote, "Anyway, many people like South Koreans dislike the IMF. Can you explain why?" Thank you. Yeah. So the International Monetary Fund will help to bail out countries if need be. I don't know exactly why the sentiment is negative in South Korea. I know the sentiment in Southeast Asia was quite negative on the IMF's lack of action when it came to George Soros shorting the Thai baht and making $1 billion from the Thai baht falling. Okay. Now the Thai baht used to be fixed currency. And George Soros shorted it and made $1 billion in a day. He did the same thing with the United Kingdom, with England, when he broke the British pound. And because I've answered this in the past, I'm going to show you really quickly a resource to go to learn more about this. So if you go to my website, HarounMBA.com, and you do a search on, I think it's George Soros here, you'll see a vlog that I wrote here. are made here. It's called How George Soros Made $1 billion in One Day, Breaking the Bank of England, and I discuss foreign exchange trading here. The lack of action or help from the IMF at that point was likely a reason why there's some negative sentiment in Southeast Asia. I'm not sure about South Korea, but that might be the reason. Thank you. Okay. All right. Next up, Patricia, who's from New Jersey, and she's in my platinum class. Says, good morning, Chris. Great to see you. I really enjoyed our 101 last week. Yeah. And the artwork you had on your wall looked like Pablo Picasso stuff. I loved it. Okay, next up we have P Hats. First time I've seen you on the call, and I hope you join us again. And the question is, hey, Chris, hey, I'm practicing my skills in day trading, but I don't seem to hit correct decisions since I started. Can you recommend some key information I should check out when deciding on day trading positions? Thanks. Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to say, and I say this with love in my heart, we can all identify a gazillion great long-term investors like Warren Buffett, etc. But there's hardly any day traders out there that are successful, and we don't know their names because they don't exist. And a lot of people get upset when I say that, but I do say it with love in my heart because it's really hard to trade and make money on a short-term basis. Now, each month has 20 weekdays. That means 20 days most markets are open. And trying to make money every single month is almost impossible because you get fooled by randomness. We have no idea, what Biden's going to say next if there's any sort of saber rattling between the United States and Beijing. We have no idea what Putin is going to do next when it comes to the atrocious war with Ukraine. We have no idea what companies in the same sector you're investing in are going to say from day to day when it comes to earnings. And we have no idea what the economic data points will come out with. For example, this morning, the United States reported that GDP contracted over 1% year over year. We just don't know. And so we're fooled by randomness if we try to trade short term. You got to be long term because the longer the view, the wiser the intention. And whenever I do a lot of research on stocks and in my MBA program, I provide you with tons of frameworks that you can use to do long-term research and hopefully outperform the market. But whenever I do research on stocks, I always tell myself, I don't know the path, but I know the destination. Last thing I'll say is Warren Buffett, when he invests, what he usually does is he buys a stock and he tells himself, I don't care if the market's closed for 10 years. You got to be long-term focused. Absolutely. Now, I will show you a couple trading things to help you out if you're interested right now. But I do stress that, please, I want you to, number one, focus on fundamentals. Number two, valuation. And number three, a distant third, technicals when putting on positions. Okay, let's do this. All right, so I'm going to go over here to Yahoo Finance, okay? And I'll pull up Tesla. It's the first stock I can think of. Why is the internet slow today? Okay, here. All right, we're good. All right, so I'll pull up here Tesla. Okay, I'm going to get off Wi-Fi too. Actually, no, we're fine. Okay, good. All right, so we'll look here at a chart of Tesla, and I'm going to talk about Elon Musk's purchases and sales of Tesla in a second. It's fascinating, and it'll help you know when to buy or sell Tesla. Okay. All right, so what we see here is a chart of Tesla over a number of years. I'm going to add some indicators. The first one I'm going to add is called the Relative Strength Index, okay? And when you see a reading of 80, that means sell. And when you see a reading of 20, that means buy. And I'll explain what that means. Of course, look at fundamentals and valuation first before this, okay? So right down here at the bottom, and let me just make sure, I'm going to go and remove my face in the corner. Okay, here we go. Great, okay. All right, so down here, this is the Relative Strength Index, and this is something that a lot of technicians use when they're trading. And I use it a bunch too in the hedge fund industry. So whenever you see a reading close to 20, okay, that means the stock is oversold and you see mean reversion and the stock can bounce back. By the same token, whenever you see a reading above 80 or close to it, that means the stock is overbought and you'll see a bit of a pullback. So you can see here, you can see here back in October that Tesla was overbought and then it pulled back here because it was overbought, okay? Now, what also happened coincidentally at this point was Elon Musk was selling shares as well. And by the way, Elon Musk bought a lot of shares in Tesla in March of 2020 because he's incredibly unemotional and brilliant, and we have to be the same way when investing, and he made a fortune. So he bought in March of 2020, and he sold around this time here. So now that we talked about the relative strength index, I'll move on and talk about one or two last indicators. Okay, we're going to look at moving averages. Okay, so people look at the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average. So this purple line here is where the stock of Tesla was over the past 50 days, okay? And you could see here that it doesn't go below this level, okay? Comes close and it bounces. And people think, hey, if it doesn't go below that level by much, then that means good support. Okay, like right here, if it breaks a bunch, the 50 days soon, then technical traders will short the stock or sell. If it bounces back, then people will buy and say, hey, there's good support at the 50-day. Now, there's another indicator you can also look at, which is called the 200-day moving average. Okay, so let me add that here. Okay, 200. Here we go. And the 200-day moving average is down here. Now, when the 50-day breaks down below the 200-day, that's a death cross or a death nail, and technicians sell. Vice versa, when the 50-day breaks up through the 200-day, that's a golden cross. That's what they call it, and people buy. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you when it comes to a technical analysis is we're going to talk about the most important economic market indicator out there called the VIX. Now, the VIX was created in 1990 by the Chicago Board of Options Exchange. Okay, it's a volatility index, and what it does is it measures what the market expects volatility to be with the S&P over the next 20 or 30 days. Let me say it again. The VIX measures what options traders think volatility is going to be over the next month or so when it comes to the S&P 500 stocks. And what you want to do is you want to buy no matter what, and I put my reputation on the line here, okay? You want to buy no matter what when the VIX is well above 70, which is rare. But let me go back in time and paint and explain this story to you because it's always fun to look at a chart. All right, let me go here to max. There we go, good. Okay, so the VIX was created in 1990. Okay, so right now it's at 30, meaning there's not that much fear in the market, right? And I'm certainly not a buyer of the market here. Okay, so in 1990, the VIX was created, and it spiked here. There's a little bit of fear here, right around Gulf War I, okay? Then it pulled back. We had the roaring 90s. Things were great. And then we had the Asian financial crisis right here, okay? And so the VIX spiked to 43, and I worked at Goldman Sachs that fall, and I remember Alan Greenspan had a surprise interest rate cut, and the floor went nuts. It was awesome. Okay, then the VIX pulled back. There was a little bit more fear around 9/11 for obvious reasons, okay? And then this year, we're in the thick of a economic recession. The market was doing terrible. And then things got better once the statue of Saddam fell in April or May of 2003. Okay, so what happened was fear was down a lot, okay? And then we saw massive fear, man, right here, okay? So in the fall of 2008, when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working, the VIX index spiked to about just under 80. And that's when you buy, because everyone's freaking out. And I promise you, when that happens, you're going to think to yourself, I'm crazy if I buy. But that's why you got to buy, because you got to be a contrarian and no one else will buy. Okay, then we had the flash crash, a couple other issues. And then right here, and you can't see this properly, but intraday in March of 2020, the VIX actually went above 80 to an all-time high. And that was the time to buy as well. And I know hindsight is 20/20, but no matter what happens, I promise you, no matter what, you have to buy when the VIX is above 70 or 80. And it's going to feel like death. It's going to feel awful. But you have to be a contrarian in business and think differently. Otherwise, you'll never make money. Because if you buy the same stock that everybody buys, then there aren't that many incremental investors to push it higher. Okay. All right. Next question is, hold on a second here. Also, I'd like your opinion on technical. Okay, yeah, that's a similar question. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Neha, who's from India, who's in my MBA degree program this year in the Gold program. She's great. Good to see you. So Neha wrote, hello, Prof. Chris. I couldn't attend live classes for a couple of weeks. It feels great to be back. And I hope everything is okay with you health-wise and your family. I think you mentioned your sister was visiting you in India a while back, and hopefully that's the reason that you weren't in class. Okay. And then Neha wrote, Life Insurance Corporation of India is going public on May the 4th. What are your thoughts on that? I don't know anything about the company, but before you invest, I want you to read the IPO prospectus that everybody has access to by law. Okay, and in this, you'll see all the risks and all the data points you need to make an informed investment decision. They're written by lawyers and investment bankers. Yeah. And don't anybody ever invest in any asset if you can't get an investment offering memorandum. Okay, ever. And this next thing I'm going to say is a little bit harsh, but I do say it with love in my heart, and that is if a friend of yours approaches you and asks you to invest in their company, I want you to quietly say to yourself, why am I so lucky to be given this opportunity? And again, I say this with love in my heart. It's probably because nobody else wants to invest. And it could ruin your friendship. And I've had one friend in particular, a dear friend of mine, I made him money and I lost him money. And we're not friends anymore because people change when it comes to money. Yeah. Be really, really careful. Yeah. Same thing with family. Don't get family to invest in your company. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Kumar wrote, hi, Chris, and lots of hearts there. Thank you. Lots of love right back at you. So you wrote, hope you're doing well. I'm always great. Thanks. And I hope you're doing well. Everyone is saying Elon will bring Trump back on Twitter since he was Elon's biggest supporter. What do you think? What will be the impact? Yeah. So once Elon mentioned that he's buying Twitter, and it looks like the deal's going to close, they had an emergency board meeting this past Sunday where they negotiated into early Monday morning. What happened was Trump was quoted a number of times. And what he said was he supports what Elon has done, but he's not going to be joining Twitter. That's what he said. And he said that because he's got this platform called Truth Social. And there's been some hiccups with it, as with all new technologies. But he's going to start truthing, as he calls it, on Truth Platform very, very soon. He hasn't been doing it yet for some legal embargo reason, but he publicly disclosed that he's only going to be using Truth Social to truth and not Twitter. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Abby wrote, can I get the MBA free? No, thanks for asking. If you want a scholarship, please reach out to admissions@harounventures.com and we'll take a look. Thank you. Okay, next up, we've got Payton, who goes by the Game Report, who wrote, how do you get so good looking? Dude, it's a lot of makeup, man. First of all, I'm fugly. That means freaking ugly, okay? And if I turn sideways, oh my God, it's disastrous. My nose is huge. I got people checking me out, actually. I never have like women ever looking at me, but I had a mask on for all of COVID, so they couldn't see my massive gonzo from the Muppet Show nose. And I got a couple more looks. Not many, but a couple more. But once I take this off, people are like, oh my God, he's like a scud. You know what a scud is? Remember Gulf War I? A scud is when you see somebody you think is good looking, and then you get closer, it's like a missile. And then up close, like, oh my God, it's terrible. So I was a scud when I took my mask off. But what I do is I'll teach you guys this here. A lot of guys don't know about makeup and stuff. You have to use it when you do webcasts if there's lots of light. Everybody does it in the movies, television, etc. So what you do is you get a little bit of this stuff. And my wife got me this brush from a place called Sephora. And you put it on so you're not shiny, especially my nose. Yeah. And in terms of looking younger, I've got this product here. And I'm never going to do that Botox stuff, never, man. But it's called Peter Thomas Roth. It's $28 for a pack of 3. You put it under your eyes when you didn't get much sleep, and it's amazing. It works. It works. But that's a long answer for I'm ugly. Thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you, brother. Yeah. And Payton actually is going to be on my webcast tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's Friday, April 29th. He's going to be interviewed to talk about the MBA program and other stuff as well. He's the #1 resource on the planet when it comes to NFT gaming. You can go to thegamereport.io or gamereport.io for more details, or his YouTube channel, which has really taken off. Great to see you, Payton. Okay. And Payton works in surface warfare in the United States Navy. Okay. Next up, Tado wrote, hi everyone, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Je vais faire le grasse matinée ce matin, but I have my coffee, so I'll be okay. Okay, next up, Fernando30 wrote, hi Chris, how do you feel about CalPERS? So CalPERS is a retirement portfolio company. It's like the endowment for teachers in California. They're big. And Texas Teachers has a massive pension fund as well. And another force to be reckoned with is Ontario Teachers as well. Massive pools of money. So the question is, how do you feel about CalPERS trying to get Buffett to retire? I don't like it personally. Just wondering, what are your thoughts there? Yeah, that's strange that he would do that. Like Buffett has an army behind him as well, right? He's got Charlie Munger as well, who's the same age, I guess, or pretty close. But that doesn't seem very ethical to me, unless there are reasons why they want him to do so, aside from his age. Yeah. And I guarantee you Buffett can pick stocks better than they can. Yeah. All right. Next up, Vipul wrote, hey, Chris, how are you? I'm always great. Thank you. Always. Thank you. And I love this. I love doing what I'm doing. And I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for coming to this event, coming to this call. And I put this up here as well. And I've got, let me show you a bit of the studio if you're curious. All right. So what I'll do is I'll zoom out on this bad boy here. Oops, that's the focus. Okay, there we go there. Yeah. All right. So this here is the studio. You can't see all of it right now, but you can actually see the outside here as well. And we're going to start opening up the studio this way as well. I had an interview yesterday. I was actually interviewed by a prominent journalist in Canada yesterday. He came by. We did the interview in here. Carl Moore, great guy, brilliant man. And you'll see the article in Forbes and the Globe and Mail and the CBC in Canada soon. But we reset this entire studio here so that there's a lot more room. And so this here is the outside. It's a separate entrance. It's a separate entrance completely from the rest of my house. Yeah. So anyway, that's what it looks like. It's kind of nice. The problem though with leaving a door open when you're webcasting is that it can actually, the light changes a lot throughout the day. But screw it, I'm going to leave it like this. We'll do something different today. It's nice to hear the birdies too. All right. Okay, here we go. Next up, Payton Kalohea wrote that my one-on-one calls in a platinum program are amazing, life-changing. Things happen to you in the one-on-ones. Thank you, Payton. I appreciate that. And you inspire me so much, and so do all of my incredible students from all over the world. So in the Platinum program, you get 3 hours of one-on-one meetings with me, confidential one-on-ones. I will personally write your whole LinkedIn profile for you, not my staff, me. I'll help you with any business problem you have as well, or help you get a raise or a promotion, etc. I'm there for my students 24/7, 365. And I say this with love in my heart. I care just as much as my students do about their own careers, sometimes more. Don't expect to accomplish your dreams in life unless you help others accomplish theirs first. Yeah. Cool. All right. And you guys are going to love seeing Payton be interviewed as well tomorrow on my webcast. He's amazing. He's incredible. Yeah. All right. And congrats on that thing you sent me a message about. Okay. I don't know if I can disclose that. Okay. Next up, we have Manas from India who wrote, good morning, my dear mentor. Great to see you. Long live Canadian push the goalpost out. That's right. That's what we do. You know, we always push the goalpost out. That's how we say out. American is not out. It's out. English was created in Canada, right? Okay. I just lost a bunch of viewers. Well, let me shut this and get back to normal. All right. That's the thing about doing these things. You get real-time feedback. Here we go. Okay. So Manas wrote, how are you doing today? A beautiful day as always. It's gorgeous as you guys saw outside. Yeah. Every day is great. Thanks. Okay. Next up, Kevin wrote, good morning from Lakeland, Florida. I love Florida. And Tony Robbins moved from California to Florida because taxes are high here on the left coast. I've thought about doing the same. Yeah. All right. And then Manas wrote, my mentor, Chris, please. A bunch of questions. Sure. Russia has stopped supply of gas to Poland and Bulgaria now, and they have to pay in ruble. I saw that. Yeah. Some companies are by the way, still paying in ruble, going against the governments there. And then you wrote, and some of the European Union countries have agreed to that. What's your take? Yeah. So we don't want to support the ruble because that will help the economy in Russia. And once the war ends, or if there's some sort of peace negotiation or settlement, then the rest of the world will start doing business with Russia, maybe again. But what happens is this. So with naturally resource-rich economies like Canada, Russia, Brazil, and Australia, whenever China or big economies buy natural resources from those four countries, the way it works is as follows. Let's say the Chinese government wants to buy a lot of oil from Canada. So what they do is the Chinese government first has to convert the yuan, the renminbi, their currency. They have to convert it into Canadian dollars, right? Which basically makes the Canadian dollar go up because there's more demand for the Canadian dollar. Then they use the Canadian dollar to buy oil from, say, Petro-Canada or other Canadian oil companies. So whenever there's massive economic growth in China or other large economies, when they buy natural resources, it pushes up the dollar or the currency in whatever country they're buying it from. So if we were to buy lots of oil or natty gas from Russia using ruble, right, converting dollars into rubles or euros into rubles, then that would push up the value of the ruble, which could help the Russian economy. And given economic sanctions and this atrocious war in Ukraine, we don't want to do that. Okay. Next up, William wrote, and my gut, and this is a little bit controversial, but I think that if the United States did not pull out of Afghanistan, and hindsight's 2020, I think if the United States did not pull out of Afghanistan, this invasion would not have occurred. Yeah. And I'm not saying the war in Afghanistan made sense, but just I'm calling a spade a spade. Yeah. All right. So next up, William wrote, a good day, Chris. Hey, William, how are you? Thanks for the MBA opportunity. My pleasure. And then you wrote, I've taken some of your courses on Udemy. Please, I need that scholarship. What is the criteria for qualification? Yeah, I have a very soft heart. Just send an email with your case to admissions at harounventures.com. We have a small number of, sometimes bigger and small, of scholarships too. Yeah. Okay, and that goes to anybody else. If you're interested in scholarships, just send a message to admissions at harounventures.com. I have to remind myself why I do this. Yeah, meaning why I teach. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, my mentor, Chris, please. How do you value a startup? There we go. Got a big pickup and spike since I changed camera angles. How do you value a startup like a Shark Tank situation? If it makes $200,000 a month, then how much valuation should it have generally? That's a great question. So it all depends on the sector, okay? So if it's a software company, it can trade at a massive premium because software profit margins are very high. You don't have to have a factory to produce software, you just download it. If it's a retail company competing with Amazon to sell commoditized products like clothes or whatever it is, then it's going to be a low valuation, like 1 or 2 times revenue, because the profit margins are not high. And so the bottom line is when you're valuing a company, you have to look at similar companies in that sector. And because early stage companies don't have any profits, what you do at first is you look at a revenue multiple, meaning how many times revenue is a certain company in the sector trading at that has a similar growth profile. And what you can also do, and I teach this in my MBA degree program in a lot of detail with a lot of the templates I provide you with, you can also create a financial model and forecast what earnings are going to be in 5, 10, or 15 years, and then slap on a price earnings multiple based on your earnings estimate or in 5, 10, or 15 years. And that's how I value all my companies. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Steph wrote, what you explain which KPI is best and why. I am never an investment, but I'm looking for the current data instead of past information. Yeah. Okay. So you have to let me know what sector it is, please, you're talking about when it comes to key performance indicator, because every sector is a little bit different. There's 1 or 2 drivers that make stocks go up and down in each sector. So if you're looking at the retail sector or restaurants, the KPI there is going to be same store sales, meaning how much does each store grow revenue-wise year over year. The key KPI, or the KPI for the hotel industry, is RevPAR, which stands for revenue per available room. So you look at year-over-year growth in sales for each room. The KPI for the cell phone market is ARPU, which means average revenue per unit. So the bottom line is just tell me what the sector is, and I'll tell you what the number one KPI or driver is for the financial model. Thank you. All right. Okay, next up, we got Mattia, who's in my MBA program. Good to see you. Hi, Chris. I would love to join you tonight, but I can't. Can you please? Sure. Can you please go through the shareholder equity part of the balance sheet for Alphabet? Yeah, meaning the Google parent company. You wrote, I can't tell the numbers for common shares and APAC or APEC. Yeah. So that would be kind of a long thing to do because Alphabet is the parent company of Google. And the reason why it exists, Alphabet, is because Google knows it's only a matter of time until they're broken up into different companies by the government, the Department of Justice, and the EU. Because the 2 biggest search engines in the world are owned by Google, meaning Google and YouTube. Now, if you want, what you can do is during our 2-hour weekly office hours for Platinum and Gold students, I'll dedicate that entirely to going through the Alphabet balance sheet for you. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Or during the 200 hours of live Q&A we have during the program, I'll do that as well. Thank you. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, how much oil reserves does a country like Sweden have, like the gross total? Where do they store the oil? Thanks again. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about Sweden. United States has strategic reserves where they store it in certain areas around the country, kind of like Fort Knox did with gold. I don't know about Sweden, sorry. Yeah. There's a bunch of oil. I don't. In the North Sea, I know that's kind of far away, but I would assume they have some offshore, not onshore. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, thank you for everything, my mentor, but thank you. And then you wrote, God bless you and your family forever and ever. Thank you. The roof of the house is awesome. Thank you. That you're speaking Canadian. It's good. I'm glad they speak Canadian English in India because, Canadian English, we invented English. That's awesome. And then you go, see you forever and ever. By the way, this is my 100th webcast with you. Awesome, brother. Thank you so much for the support. It's great been having you here. You guys are all family. And speaking of my family, I'm very proud of my son, Andrew. He just got into university. He's going to Berkeley here in the Bay Area. He'll be studying engineering. Yeah. They grow up fast, man. At least he won't be going away far. It's like a 40-minute drive from where I live. Yeah. But he'll get the full university experience because he's going to be he'll live on campus for the first year. Yeah. But I'm still sad. Okay. All right. Next up, AR Fisher. First time I've seen you in the call. Thank you. And I'd love to have you join us again if you want. So AR wrote, hi, Chris. I have a great software idea and I'm currently working with an incubator. However, I'm concerned a proof of stake approach will let the cat out of the bag, resulting in big tech to snag my plan. Yeah. So here's what you can do to protect your intellectual property. You can actually file patents, okay? And the patent offices globally are always backed up, which is why when you file a patent, you can say patent pending, and that's almost good enough to protect your IP. So I would hire a lawyer to file patents on your software and copyright as well, okay? As well as a trademark on the brand name. Okay, I would do that immediately. You can always go to LegalZoom.com. I'm not sponsored by them, but you can go to LegalZoom.com if you want to. I have a lawyer I met through LegalZoom.com. He's great. I hired him off of LegalZoom as well now. He's doing a ton of work for me. I've got a moat of copyrights and trademark protecting my IP globally. Yeah. All right. And you don't have to tell them. Like when you do these first meetings with venture investment firms or angel investors, you can just tell them about the concept. You don't have to explain how it's going to work. Like, for example, there's a company called Nest, which makes those thermostats that look like this on the wall. And there's a venture capitalist I talked to from Kleiner Perkins named Randy Komisar. We partnered on a deal years ago, my firm with his. And I asked him, how did you know to invest in Nest? And what was it like? Because they sold Nest to Google for $3 billion several years ago. And so he told me, I said, was the product amazing? He said, no. When they came in to show me the product, they just had a piece of wood. This is a hockey puck because, I'm Canadian. They had a piece of wood and they said, this is what the product will look like. And I said, well, why did you invest? And he said, because the management team was unbelievable. They were really passionate in their delivery. From an engineering perspective, it sounded like they knew what they were doing. And much, much more, obviously. But they didn't tell him what's inside this box, right? So you don't have to give away everything. And one thing I'll caution you on is with early stage investments, if it's your first time raising money and you approach high net worth investors, and before the meeting, before you ask them if they want to take the meeting, you tell them to sign an NDA or a non-disclosure agreement, they're not going to take the meeting most of the time. They won't. So what I would do is just keep it very generic what you explain to them. Yeah. And file patents and copyrights and trademarks first if you want to. For more details, go to uspto.gov. That's United States Patent Office, okay, and Trademark Office. Or you can go to copyright.gov, which is United States copyright website. And I've filed my stuff globally as well. And what happens is if you file in one country, it can be protected in many countries, but it depends. You have to talk to a lawyer first. The bottom line, though, is this. Back in 1989, in Madrid, the top 100 countries in the world had a meeting there. And they said, if you honor my intellectual property, copyrights, and trademarks, I'll honor yours. And so that's called the Madrid Protocol, which set some sort of legal precedent. But talk to a lawyer first, because I'm certainly not one. Yeah, thank God. All right, next up we got Scatter. Hey, how are you, man? Good. It's been a while. I hope your kids are doing well. And let me know if you bought that 3D printer for your daughter's dollhouse to print those little items. Yeah, good to see you. So the question is, hey Chris, with the war, etc., what are your thoughts on the crypto market 3 months out? Yeah, it's tough for me. I'm not smart enough to call 3 months out, but I love the question. Thank you. Part of it depends on government policy when it comes to cryptos. If more governments in the next 3 months, for whatever reason, are going to outlaw cryptos, then it's negative for the market. However, if we see a little bit of regulation in some countries when it comes to cryptos, that's incredibly positive because that's a signal from governments that they're not going to outlaw cryptos, but they're going to embrace them. Yeah. So if you put a gun to my head, sorry, that's a Wall Street term, and ask me what to invest in, I think that, gold usually goes up in times of crisis. And when it comes to digital gold, I think of Bitcoin and to a lesser extent, Ethereum. Okay, great to see you as always. Yeah, I miss you. Set up more calls if you want to. Thanks. Okay. Next up, Bhavik, how are you? Bhavik's from Mississauga. Originally from India, but he lives in Mississauga, which is where I live. I met him in person here last year during the graduation. It was amazing. And let me actually, I'm going to go off script here, guys, for a quick second, and I want to show you just a 1-minute video of my graduation from last year, because Bhavik is in this video and he gave this incredible speech. So here it is here. I'll be back in 1 minute, I promise you. Okay.
Good morning to my amazing global MBA family.
So you now officially have everything you need to build something far bigger than yourself, okay? And so we are now 100% done the MBA degree program. Congratulations, excellent. That's Christian Chang. Dion Vernon. Now, I want to end this MBA degree program right now on this positive note. And I want you to get up and start working on architecting your perfect life, armed with what you've learned in this MBA degree program. And more importantly, armed with this new empowering belief that you have in yourself. Now, this is not the end. It is not the beginning of the end. It is perhaps the end of the beginning. Believe in yourself and think with your heart first. I believe in you and I love you. Thank you. So Bhavik, great to see you, brother. Great. And that the speech you gave, so during the graduation ceremony, you saw Bhavik, I said he's from my hometown, Mississauga, with my memorandum. He got up on the stage in front of it was like 100 people or whatever it was. And he gave a speech and he winged it and it was inspiring and it killed my speech. It was it was so much better than mine. You inspire me as always, brother. Great to see you. All right. So good morning to you too. Next up, Zoralina, who's in my, and Bhavik graduated my platinum program 2 years ago. Next up, we've got Zoralina, who is from France originally, but she lives in Ontario. And she's in my silver MBA program. And I talk to her every week at 10 a.m. my time here, because at 10 a.m. my time, for 1 hour, we have the office hours for the silver MBA students. And for those of you in silver, just go to the first lecture of the program. And then you'll see the link for every week's call. Yeah. And Zoralina has 2 cats, one named Mumu and Mimi. And she has a crepe company that she's in the process of selling. Yeah. So Zoralina wrote, good morning from Canada, Chris. Great to see you as well. You wrote, always great to listen to your ton of knowledge, or lack thereof. Thank you, though. You wrote, you make my Thursday special. Thank you. You make my Thursday more special. And then you wrote, thank you. Is it not interesting that Elon is getting the Twitter deal? It's fascinating. And the reason the government is not stopping the deal is because from an antitrust perspective, he has no assets or influence when it comes to owning other media properties. So if Facebook or Google tried to buy Twitter, there's no way antitrust would let it go through. Now, what Elon is doing, we know, is he's taking it private at $54.20 a share. I own a lot of Twitter. I bought it many years ago in my kids' educational savings account. So we're happy here at our household, humbly. But he's taking it private. And that's an important thing to mention, because if it was a publicly traded company, the SEC would be all over Elon, as they have been in the past. Like a couple of years ago, Elon tweeted that I think I might take, potentially, my company Tesla private at a valuation of $400 per share. And the SEC was upset about that. So the fact he's taking it private is great. Now, Elon, I respect Elon. He believes in freedom of speech. He had positive things to say about the truckers up in Canada peacefully rioting, which is a beautiful thing. Everybody should be heard. So he believes in free speech. And he also tweeted recently that I hope my biggest enemies also stay on Twitter, as well, because it's fair to have free speech. Yeah. So, but it's so fascinating because it's not just Elon buying Twitter, but you have a lot of other billionaires that bought big media properties. Mark Benioff, who founded Salesforce, he bought Time Magazine. You had Jeff Bezos buy the Washington Post, and then Peter Thiel, I think, bought Gawker years ago. So it's amazing the influence that they have. It's kind of scary, the influence they have, because there is that unwritten bias that you're not going to say negative things about the parent company owner in a certain media publication. I'll leave it at that. Yeah. All right. Next up, William So Roach. I'm watching you from Cameroon. Awesome. Thank you. And if you want, what you can do is send me an email right now to Haroun at harounventures.com. That's Haroun at harounventures.com. Anybody can do this right now with a beautiful picture of where you live, and I'll put it behind me on my green screen here. Yeah. So send it over now if you want. Let me know that you sent it so I can go check. Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Nilsa from beautiful Puerto Rico. Nilsa graduated from our Platinum program last year. She won a scholarship from Goldman Sachs as well. It's amazing. Go check out her LinkedIn profile. It's money, Nilsa Santiago. And her family owns a massive engineering and construction firm in Puerto Rico. And her daughter just got into a Columbia University. Congratulations on that. You don't do anything wrong. It's amazing. And I hope you're doing well as well. All right. Oh, Nilsa, send me a beautiful picture of Puerto Rico, and I'll throw it in the background right now. Just let me know when you send it. Thanks. Send it to charoun@harounventures.com. All right. Okay. All right. And then next up, I've got Vipul, who wrote, "How do you apply for a scholarship?" Yeah. So just send an email with your case to admissions@harounventures.com, and I'll take care of you. Yeah. Thanks. My team's rolling their eyes now. That's okay. I have to remind myself why I do what I do. All right, next up, we got the Berlin 186, who is in my MBA program. He lives in beautiful San Bernardino, California, where Ken Griffey Jr. played the minors. And he wrote, "What's up, everyone? Hope everyone's doing great. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's roll. I love it. I love it. Great to see it." Okay, then we've got Shakun Mahajan. And if I mispronounce anyone's name, please let me know. What I do before doing calls with students is I usually go to YouTube and I search, how do I pronounce names? So if I'm butchering it, please let me know, and thank you. So you wrote, "Hi, Chris, good morning." Good morning to you too. God bless you. Looking forward to your session today. I'd like your perspective on high school internships in the finance and investment space. I'm asking for my girls in the East Bay area. Okay, you're local. You live close by. Very cool. So your network is your net worth. And relationships are always more important than product knowledge. Now, I think the best way for them to get an internship is to, first of all, create a LinkedIn profile, which I teach in my MBA program in a lot of detail. Now, I know a lot of high school students don't have LinkedIn profiles, but I think you should if you want to get an internship. Then what I'd recommend your daughters do is, once they have that LinkedIn profile up, then they send out in-mails to people that went to their high school that work in the finance market here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And the in-mail they should send is this, okay? And I'm mentioning this because everybody in this call, there's no way you open all your emails, but everybody in this call always opens and reads all in-mails. So in LinkedIn, have your daughters do an advanced search on people in the Bay Area, maybe within 100 kilometers or 100 miles of 94010 ticker, or 94010 zip code. Have them do a search for everyone that graduated from their high school, and then filter based on finance companies. And then have them send an email that says exactly this. Subject line, "Hi." Contents are, "Joanne, hope all is well. I also, I'm currently a student at BHS or whatever high school it is. Please let me know if you have time for a quick Zoom call. Thanks a lot, Chris." Most of the time they'll answer and give you that Zoom call. Don't say, "I want an internship" in that message though, because they won't respond, because they'll feel bad they can't help you. And in terms of what to talk about in that one-on-one meeting, you always want to bond before business. So you talk about what you have in common with that person. So before I do meetings with people I've never met with before, I always go to their Twitter profile to see who they follow. If they follow, if they follow baseball, I know what to talk about. If they follow, movies or actors, actresses, whatever, all that great stuff, I know what to talk about as well. So the first 10 minutes of the meeting, just kind of bond. You always bond before business. And then what will happen is the person you're meeting with will very politely say, "Why are we meeting?" Yeah. Okay. A little bit behind the scenes here. All right. Okay. Next up, the Berlin, who's in my Platinum program this year, is asking, what is Payton's YouTube channel called? Payton was in my Platinum program last year. Yeah, so I'll show you guys here quickly. So if you go here to YouTube, okay, then you search for Payton. Actually, I think it's GameReport.io. Game Report. GameReport.io. I think this is it. Payton, help me out, buddy. Okay. Game Report old. No, it's not yours. Here it is here. Okay, I found him. Good. Nice. Okay, good. So this here is Payton. This is at his home in San Diego. He's currently moving with his wife Hannah and their kids to Oklahoma. So you go here. Good for you, Payton, brother. He's got to 7,000 subs. That's a big deal because he actually just launched it recently. And I'm not an arrogant guy, but I'm a good judge of character. And I know this guy's going to have 100,000 subs within 1 year. So check it out. He also has a website that will teach you everything about NFT gaming, blockchain, etc. So go to GameReport.io for free education and reports. Look how dope that looks, man. That's awesome. It's awesome. I don't know how you have time to do that while you work in the Navy at the same time. It's amazing, brother. You inspire us all. Okay, next up, I've got Daniel, who wrote, Sherlock Holmes said that many men of distinction have prominent noses. Oh, that's right. Considering my noses, yeah. My noses. I have plural noses because, you know, it's so big. Look at it, man. But, and I usually don't say arrogant things, but I can kick anyone's butt in skiing or cycling because this thing, dude, it's aerodynamic. So like when I tuck, when I'm skiing, I go faster. Yeah. All right. You got to do the best of what you got. Okay. Next up, Carl wrote, hi, Chris. I love this show, but unfortunately, I can't always manage to watch it. Are you still doing your daily walks under your desk using that machine? Which brand of machine do you have? Yeah, absolutely, I am. I'm going to show you. So I get my 20,000 steps in a day in using this thing. So let me show you behind the scenes here. So what I do is I have one of those desks that moves up and down. Okay. And then under my desk, I've got this treadmill here. It's the cheapest treadmill you can buy. It's about $500, which is expensive. But basically, it's called Rhythm Fun. And I'll show you what it looks like in Amazon in a second. But I'll get my 500 steps in here. My 20,000 steps in daily. And I've done it for over 2 years. That's 14.6 million steps. It squeaks sometimes, but I got WD-40, right? And then what I do is I'll type while I'm working, right? So it works out quite well. But I wear my Apple Watch in my pocket, whoops, so that it will count steps because it can't count steps when I'm up here. So let me go here and let me push this button here to get back into character. Now let me show you the brand. Okay, so this here is Wirecast. Let me turn me on in the corner here. There we go. Okay, great. Okay, so let's go to my orders. And I am so transparent with everything in life, it's not funny. Okay. And I got this idea from one of my students, actually. And I put this in my drink every single day. Yeah. And acai as well. Okay. So let's go to treadmill. Oops. Yeah. And the desk, you can get them from Amazon anywhere, or you can go to fully.com, Fully.com. So this here is the one I bought. I bought two of them. And it's $499. And if you get it from Amazon, you can get, money back guarantee as well for a month or whatever it is. And you can put it under your couch, see down there, okay? And then you can get a desk like this. And then, yeah, it's great. It's great. So I love it. It's a lifesaver. And I feel way more productive doing this. And remember when we were younger and we had to study and you woke up early and the first hour of studying that you did was so productive. But also remember when you were younger and you crammed for an exam at night, and that 10 hours of cramming at night was less productive than the 1 hour in the morning. Well, I mention this because if you walk all day while you work, like I do, it feels like you just woke up. And so every hour of productivity or every hour of work is just as productive as the 1 hour when you got up in the morning. So you literally can accomplish 10 times more every day. And in my MBA program, which I explain tomorrow during my open house, I provide you with many templates and frameworks so you can accomplish way, way more every single day. It works, or your money back. I got a 30-day 100% guarantee on it with my MBA. Yeah. All right. Okay, next up, I have got here. P. Hats wrote, Chris, I've now seen your answer to my question, and I thank you very much. And thank you for those emojis, and God bless you, and namaste at the same time. Thank you. Moving on to the Berlin, who wrote, Chris, interest rates are rising, and homes are getting more expensive. Is there a time frame to take effect for homes to drop? Yeah, it's tricky because, and I've been begging people for the past 2 years to refinance. I think it's getting too late now. Relatively speaking, rates, the 30-year rates now for a mortgage are over 5%. It's rough. Eventually, as interest rates rise more, housing prices will come down. It will happen. It's just the way it works. You know, for example, back in the early 1980s, when interest rates were close to 20%, because we had massive inflation, the real estate market fell off a cliff, and the stock market was in a bear market. It was awful. Because when rates are high, people say to themselves, I'll just leave my money in the bank and make a good return instead of risking it in the markets. Yeah. All right. But whenever you buy a house, most important thing to look at is, well, my dad used to tell me 3 things. Location, location, location. Yeah. You always buy the crappiest house in the nicest neighborhood instead of buying the nicest house in the crappiest neighborhood. Okay. All right, next up, Zoralina wrote, hey, Chris, stop saying that you're ugly. It's not true. It's fun, though. It's self-deprecating. It's fun. Yeah. Yeah, and it was Sting in his song Englishman in New York that said, it takes a man to suffer ignorance and smile. Be yourself no matter what they say. Okay. It's a beautiful big nose. Okay. BBN. All right, Tanya wrote, good day, Chris. Good day, Tanya. Great to see you. I wanted to thank you so much, Chris, for the free courses on LinkedIn. This war needs to end now. I do hope my donation helps. Thank you so much. Thank you. And for 10 days, what I did was I offered a bunch of my courses for free. And all I asked was that people would go to the UNICEF link to donate to help out with kids in the war in Ukraine. Yeah. Thank you for donating. I appreciate that. Thank you. And anybody out there can go to unicef.org to donate now if you want. Yeah. Donate instead of buying my stuff. Thanks. Okay. Next up, Fernando wrote, I just bought my first call in Twitter 2 days ago. The next day, I read that it's being taken private soon. What happens if it goes private while my call is active? What happens to my option? Yeah. So, God, what a great question. Okay. So here's what's going to happen. It'll probably take 6 months for the deal to close, right? It usually does for deals. So I'm assuming that your call had an expiration date that was probably 30, 60, 90 days from now. In that case, you're fine. What you can do, and I recommend doing, is probably selling it now. And the reason I say that is because a big component to options, one of the big inputs, is time decay. And so as you get closer to expiration, the value can go down unless somebody else comes in and tries to buy the company, which I don't see happening, right? And the market doesn't think that's happening either, which is why Twitter is trading a little bit below the 54.20 level. Okay. So I'd punt it now. All right. Okay. And then I teach a lot about options in FA44. That's a 30-hour elective in my MBA program. FA means Finance and Accounting. 4-4 means Semester 4, Class 4. Yeah. And I'm adding technology now as a 6th component to my MBA degree program this year. And what I'm going to be doing in my MBA program is I'm going to be teaching you how to program as well. I was a programmer at Accenture years ago. I code a lot in my spare time now. I'm really a geek. And I'm trying to teach you programming in a brand new way. So I'm teaching it using 3D props. I suck at printing 3D, but I'm trying. And so this is a sub procedure, okay? And basically, there's a sub and an end sub on the bottom whenever you code. In the middle are a lot of ingredients. And I teach you about that in a really, really fun and engaging way. Again, that's in the MBA degree program. I'm adding coding courses to it coming out very soon. And when you program, and I use a lot of props, okay? And I have very, very tiny hands. Like when you meet me in person, I'm a small human being. Yeah, with a big nose. Terrible dad. It was awful dad humor. I'm so sorry. Nothing I can do about it. And beware, don't buy my MBA if you hate my dad humor. All right. But when you program, you always start big to small. So what that means is this. If you want this eraser to be green, you go pencil.eraser.color equals green. So I'm going to be teaching it with a lot of props as well. It's going to be fun. We're going to start off with Excel. I'm going to teach advanced Excel stuff and Visual Basic for applications and macros. It's an easy way to learn programming. Then we'll move on to Python, HTML, which is pretty easy, JavaScript, etc. And I've coded it a lot in the past. You guys will love it. Yeah. And it's challenging for me. Okay, next up, Optimus Pro. Reminds me of Optimus Prime, the good guy with the Transformers. Optimus Pro wrote, hey, Chris, it's always heartwarming to be here. Thank you. That makes two of us always. Yeah, thank you. And then you wrote, I'm actually putting up my company profile and a pitch deck for our first project. I would appreciate if you can help me look into it. How can I send it? Yeah, if you want, like just join the Gold program. If you want, just go to HarounMBA.com and I can help you out over many, many hours. As part of a group setting, or if it's confidential and you want one-on-ones, you can join the Platinum program. And thank you. Okay. And they made too many Transformer movies, man. They overdid it. All right, next up we got Hui, who wrote, good morning, Chris. Good morning, Hui. Hope you're doing well. Can you please explain the difference between marketing and PR? I often hear these two terms used interchangeably. Thanks, yeah. So I would say that marketing is part of PR. So PR basically means what your brand or company looks like to the world, okay? And marketing is kind of like analyzing who to sell your product to, okay? And there's a lot of different frameworks we use in the MBA program to discuss that, including the Boston Consulting Group Matrix, the Product Lifecycle Matrix, and much, much more. Now, PR can also mean disaster control. Okay, when a company has something bad that happens. And we do a case study in my MBA degree program on Intel. And this is the actual chip that Intel had when they had to do a massive product recall. And from a PR perspective, what happened was Intel in 1994, with their Pentium product, in 1994, they realized that there was a problem, a floating point decimal problem. So if you did calculations, they'd be off by 0.001, whatever. And that's a big deal when it comes to healthcare companies, drug companies, and just data in general. And so from a PR perspective, what Dr. Andy Grove did, God bless him, he's one of the founders, he passed away, one of the founders of Intel. What he did was he went on all of the talk shows from a PR perspective, okay? Bloomberg News, Report on Business in Canada, the predecessor to CNBC, et cetera. He went on all those TV shows. And he said, we have a problem and we're going to refund everybody that bought this chip or send you a new one for free. Here's the issue and here's how we're owning up to it. And we want to be resourceful and helpful and get ahead of this. Now, from a PR and marketing perspective, that was absolutely brilliant because back in 1994, nobody knew what the heck was inside a computer. And so what happened was people's first impression of Intel was, hey, there's this really ethical man on television, very transparent and honest. And he's talking about this product that nobody sees that's inside the computer. It was brilliant from a PR perspective. He turned a crisis and turned it into an opportunity. And what they did after that was Intel, they branded themselves using the Intel jingle. Remember? And every single commercial for Dell computers, HP computers, Acer, Gateway, when they were still in business. In all those commercials, whenever you heard the Intel jingle, like Intel inside, Intel paid 40% of the cost of that advertising campaign. Last thing I'll say is for more details on the incredible PR control that Dr. Andy Grove had with this chip, please read the book called Only the Paranoid Survive, written by Dr. Grove back in 1995. Okay, actually 97. All right. Okay. But in general, when it comes to PR, like people are trained on how to deal with negative situations. So, for example, let's just say that I don't know, Coca-Cola, and this is a prop for my MBA program. We talk about valuation and stuff. Let's just say that Coca-Cola, there was poison in it, and a lot of people got sick or, God forbid, passed away. Well, what the PR firms would tell Coca-Cola's CEO and CMO, et cetera, to do in interviews is to address it by saying this. Since we founded Coca-Cola back in the early 1900s, we've had the best quality control on the planet. We test our bottles and the contents many, many times, and the consumer feedback has been superb over the years. So they kind of deflect the issue and talk about quality control. Yeah. And when I teach about options in my MBA program, this here is a put, right? And so it's kind of like protection on a stock. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and an AR wrote, thank you, Chris. You will see me more often. Awesome, thank you. Okay, next up, Fernando, who donated to UNICEF. Thank you so much for doing that. Wrote, I like your message. I like your response, pardon me, to AR Fisher. My favorite quote is, catch me if you can, which is Frank, I saw that movie, yeah. Frank Abergone says, people only know what you tell them. A really profound quote. Yeah, it's true. I love complete transparency always, because transparency builds trust always. And so I'm 100% transparent with everything. The best companies are, not that I'm a great company, I'm not. For example, Salesforce.com has a website you can go to monitor all Salesforce servers in real time to see if they're up. They're completely transparent. Yeah. Okay. All right, next question is from Christoph, wrote, is it over? Is this for silver students? No. So the call tomorrow, per this here, it's actually for gold and platinum. But if you want to upgrade from silver, please feel free to come to the event as well. And even if you don't want to buy my MBA program, you can come to tomorrow's event because I'm giving away a lot of free stuff as well. And I'll teach you some cool new concepts. Yeah, it's fun. Okay, but the next MBA program I have, Gold and Platinum, starts this June 1st. It runs for 1 year. Yeah, and if you have questions about it, you can go to my website, HarounMBA.com, and then scroll down to look at the FAQs. And I'll show you really quickly. I'll move on, I promise. All right, so if you go here to HarounMBA.com, okay, and then you scroll down here. These are the products here. Silver, gold, platinum. And if you scroll down more, you can purchase them right here. Okay. And then if you scroll down here, you could see, and I just put this up here, it's cool, all the FAQs. Okay. Like what will I learn? Bunch of videos, all that stuff. Any question you might have is probably listed here. And then we've got testimonials. Yeah. And if you have additional questions, ask me today or tomorrow or anytime. Yeah. Or email admissions@harounventures.com. Okay, next up, David wrote, good morning, Chris. Good morning to you too. As someone that suffers from ADHD and finds it hard to focus during work, what tips and tricks would you give to being a better employee and communicator? Yeah, it's tough. I felt that I lacked focus a lot when I was younger. I'm sure they would have diagnosed me with ADHD when I was younger. And I lacked focus because I wasn't doing what I was most passionate about in life. And they thought I had a learning disability and all that stuff. They wanted to fail me and kill my confidence. But in hindsight, I'm glad it happened because I worked twice as hard as everybody. Because I don't want you to figure out I'm a fraud. But I think that if you focus on what you're most passionate about in life, then you'll be able to focus much, much better. So if you're in a line of work where it feels like work, and I say this with love in my heart, I would think about changing careers. So what career is right for you? Well, if I gave you a month off and I told you that over the next month, you can't travel, you can't go to school, you can't work, what are you going to do with your time? And no matter what anybody says, that is your purpose, your raison d'être, and your passion. And that is what your career should be. And I want to humbly help you and all my students find your passion as well. Sorry about that. Find your passion as well and your purpose in my MBA degree program. Now, when it comes to other things I do to increase my level of focusing from a biohack perspective, I take a ton of herbs and vitamins every day. I've researched the heck out of it. I also drink bulletproof coffee every single morning. Okay, I've been doing this for many, many years. And please do your research first, because if you do what I'm going to tell you to do, you might get stomach aches at first if you're not careful. Here's how it works. The coffee I buy from Bulletproof, a great Canadian company, represent. Then I put in some MCT oil that I get from the Bulletproof company as well. Now, MCT oil is like coconut oil. And I put in a tablespoon every day. But you have to put in a tiny amount at first and then slowly increase. Otherwise, you'll get stomach aches like I did. And here's the number one thing about this, why I can focus better with this. For hundreds of years, people have been putting butter in their tea or coffee. So I have a tablespoon of organic butter in here. And it gives you this unbelievable ability to focus. It's like that movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper, where he takes a drug. Don't take drugs, but he takes a drug and he can focus. And that's how I feel when I drink this. Okay, as well as the vitamins I take. Now, what I also do is I try to drink, unsuccessfully most of the time, an entire thing of water every single day. It's a couple liters because we're 60% water. Also, every single Sunday, what I do is I create 7 of these. Okay, and inside here is every antioxidant you could ever imagine. Lots of kale, acai, mushroom extract, everything. Cinnamon, yada, yada. Everything is in here. Fish oil. And then after I blend it, I throw in a bunch of blueberries, right? So it's like that bubble tea. And this helps a lot as well. And you only take a sip when you're hungry. That's it. So I'll finish this as half my meal for the day. It's high in calories, but whatever. So that'll help. Now, what I also do is I've explained many times before is I have a treadmill underneath my desk here, and I walk all day long. And that really helps me focus a lot better. Last thing I'll say in this is I want you to read, please, or listen to the audiobook of Malcolm Gladwell's brilliant book called David and Goliath. Okay, it's not a religious book, but it talks about how a lot of people are told there's something wrong with them when they're younger. And because of that, they're more successful because they work hard, really hard. And so a lot of people that are diagnosed with it, dyslexia or attention deficit disorder, they were told from younger age that there's something wrong with them, which is not fair. But they work really, really hard, and because of that, they become successful. For example, Steven Spielberg, Elon Musk, and many other people. And it's interesting because the top venture capital firm on the planet is called Sequoia. And I met with one of the managing partners there years ago when we did a deal with that firm. I was on the board of a company called Cohesity. We did the B round. The A round was done by Sequoia. And I sat down with one of the managing partners at Sequoia. And I asked him, I said, you guys are so much more successful than any other venture capital firm in history. How do you do it? And he told me something that blew my mind. He said, and I'm going to paraphrase it here. His name is Doug Leone, the guy I met with. He said, we like to invest in people that maybe have a chip on their shoulder. Maybe there was something earlier in life that leads them to believe that they're not good enough. And as a result, they want to prove the world wrong. And they won't sell their company for a couple $1,000,000. They won't even sell it for a couple $100 billion. They are all in to prove the world wrong and put their dent in the universe. So for example, with Elon Musk, poor guy, what happened was when he was younger, he had the crap kicked out of him multiple times in South Africa. And this is disclosed in many books. And he's been open and talked about it as well. And there's a lot of people have gone through stuff like that when they were younger. I got picked on. I got bullied. And I hate bullies. That's why I made that vlog, called Thank You Corporate Bullies. Please search for it. Thank You Corporate Bullies. And I want to prove the world wrong as well. Maybe it's my insecurities because when I was younger, they thought I had a learning disability and they wanted to fail me in the 6th grade and the 8th grade. I look back and I'm like, screw you teachers for that. Teachers are supposed to boost your confidence. But I also look back and tell myself that's positive. I always say, what's positive about this, Chris? It's positive because it made me work 10 times harder than everybody. But from an insecurity perspective, it did set me back, but it made me work my ass off. Like when I worked at Goldman Sachs in my 20s in New York City, I was like, oh my God, they made a mistake hiring me. And so at first, I didn't say anything at work because I thought if I speak, they'll know I'm dumb. But if I don't say anything, they'll just think I'm dumb. And I had that song by Nirvana from their Unplugged concert called I Think I'm Dumb going through my head. I remember that. But because of that, I worked twice as hard as everybody. I conquered my insecurities, and I teach my students how to do that as well in my MBA program. Yeah. It's kind of like the second biggest rental company, Hertz. Number one is Avis. But Hertz marketing campaign was always this: we're number two, so we try harder. Okay. All right. Next up, P. Hats wrote, I now have one more question regarding trading. If day trading is nearly impossible, what do hedge funds do in their day-to-day operations? Yeah, the best hedge funds are not really short-term focused, right? So the best hedge funds are called tiger cubs. Let me explain what that means. There's a brilliant man named Julian Robertson who now spends most of his time in New Zealand. He started a company called Tiger, a great hedge fund back in the 1980s. And what happened was it was so successful because he was long-term focused. He'd take 3-year bets, right? He didn't really look at technicals, right? He took 3-year bets. And a lot of the portfolio managers and analysts that worked at Tiger left to start their own companies. And those are called Tiger Cubs, right? It's kind of like Fairchild Semiconductor in the Valley here was so successful. And a lot of other Fairchildren semiconductor companies came out of it, like Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, etc. Yeah. So think long term if you want to work in the hedge fund market, and I promise you'll do much, much better. Yeah. Okay. And then Scatter wrote, great, thanks. And not yet about the dollhouse for your daughter. Cool. Okay. Next up, we have Hisham, who is one of my students when I taught undergraduate and MBA students. During the evenings when I worked in VC, he always sat front row on the right side in our San Francisco campus of that university. Great to see you. Hisham worked with me for a while. Then he left to go to Pakistan to do some charity work. I love you. And now he works at Amazon. Good to see you, bud. Okay. And he got an A in my class too. Hisham wrote, hi, Chris. Hope all is well. Likewise, brother. Always a treat to catch these webcasts. Always good to see you. Quick question. What would you advise first-time home buyers to do? Yeah. So I think the best investment you can possibly make is buying a house or an apartment. Because if you open up Microsoft Excel and you compare spending $600 a month in rent over 50 years versus owning a place, then that means a savings of over $8 million. And I can run through the math if you want me to. So the earlier you can buy a house, the better, or an apartment. For me, I had to wait until my 30s before I could buy a place, apartment in New York, a small place. But it's the best investment you'll ever make because there are plenty of tax breaks as well. And because you live in the United States, you get to write off the interest in your mortgage, which is even better than in other countries. In other countries, you cannot write off the interest in your mortgage. That's why a lot of Americans are over-levered, which kind of hurt in 2008, led to the financial crisis. So the earlier you can buy, the better. And you always want to buy, as I mentioned earlier, the crappiest house in the nicest neighborhood instead of vice versa. And location is what matters most. Go to Zillow.com to look at apartments to buy or whatever it might be, and look at the price of apartments or houses in that area as well. It's all relative. And you can also get a one-time gift from your parents. And if you're married, your spouse's parents as well. That's tax-free for them as well. But talk to an accountant first. I'm not an accountant. But it's definitely one of the best investments you'll ever make, is owning your own place. Another thing I would do is, in order to save up enough money for that, I would have money taken out of your paycheck if you can every 2 weeks. So it's out of sight, out of mind, and thrown into various ETFs if you don't have time to do stock research. Okay. And when you buy a house, and this is going to sound messed up, like I don't want people to be financially irresponsible, but if it doesn't feel uncomfortable when you're signing the mortgage, then you're not buying big enough of a house or apartment. It has to feel somewhat uncomfortable within reason. Yeah. Otherwise, you won't buy a big enough place, whatever. Yeah. All right. Next up, we got Shrey. Hey, Shrey, who wrote, hey, Chris, Shrey here. I've taken several of your courses, which are really awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for what you do. Really grateful. I sent you a cool picture from my city. Oh, great. Excellent. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go and put that picture on the backdrop, and I'll show you exactly how my green screen works. So give me 1 second. I'll show you the magic behind the scenes. Okay. Shrey, here it is. Okay. Great. Oh my God, that's gorgeous. Okay. Let me share my screen now and show you. Okay. So I'm going to go over here. Okay. Here it is. What a beautiful picture. Okay. And this is from Jaipur, India. This is the famous fort located in the old city. Oh, that's gorgeous. Okay, I'll show you how this works. So I'm going to download it now. Here it is right here. And then what I'll do is I'll go over to Wirecast, and I'm going to start a green screen in a second. So right here, I am going to, let me see here, duplicate this. Hold on. This will take 1 second, but I hope you guys find it interesting. Okay, good. And then I'm going to go and change the lights behind me, okay, to blue, right? So we can do a green screen. Now, you don't have to use the color green. It's just people usually don't wear green. That's why they do green screen. I use blue screen because my eyes are green, thanks to my wonderful, God bless you, Irish grandmother. My eyes are green, so it gets messed up. Okay, so what I'll do is, and I'll show you from this angle here, and this will be fun. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this here to blue. Okay, that's one. And then over here, I'll do another one. Okay, good. Awesome. So now we've got blue right there. Then what I'm going to do, and I'll show you this in smaller mode here. Okay, there we go. So you see me right here? It's working already. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to this camera angle here, and I'll change this to green screen here, okay? And I selected the color before, see right there? And I'll use chroma key. So here I am here, nice. All right, now that we have this set up, I'm going to go and add that layer from India, that gorgeous picture. So I'm going to go here, add the media file, okay? And then I'm going to go to my downloads right here. There it is. I'll drag it behind me, okay? And then I'm going to make it bigger, and you'll see what it looks like in a second. There we go. It looks like that. Now I'm going to make it even wider so that it covers the entire screen. So give me 1 second to play around with that, and then I'll move on to all of your wonderful questions. Okay, here we go. And I will scale it a bit bigger. Momento, por favor. There we go, right there. Stunning. Look at that gorgeous background there. And we're done. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. It looks great, man. Looks great. Beautiful. Gorgeous. That's an old fort. I can see the city walls up here. And I play Age of Empires Part 4 every single night. And it reminds me of that, building city walls. I love it. Thank you for the history lesson, too. And if anybody else has pictures from where you are, I'll throw it up in the background as well with this green screen. Okay, it's getting better too, green screens in general. Huh. Okay, and I'll make this my image for this weekly call. So what I'll do is I'll hold this up here. Actually, I see the blue here. It's not working with Facebook. I'll hold a schedule, I guess. Yeah, and point to it. And that timestamp is 9:28. I remember that. Okay, good. All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate the backgrounds. Okay. All right. Next up, Renvir wrote, I have a big nose too. Welcome to the club, man. Yeah. The BNC. Big Nose Club. I have a big nose too. My uncle always says that we with big noses will never die suffocated. It's true. The quality of air control is amazing. Like I can take it life in always. Yeah, works out well. I look like Robert De Niro now. All right, thank you. And William, thank you for the email. I'll check it out later. Ruby, how are you? Ruby is in my platinum program this year. Great to see you. Hope you're doing well. And I had a one-on-one with you in person. I remember that at graduation. Yeah. And then Ruby wrote, when does the free classes end? Yeah, so that I just ended it. It was it's supposed to be a couple days. I just ended it. But you're in the Platinum program, so you get every course for free. So just email me at admissions@harounventures.com and tell me what courses you want. Yeah. Okay, now when you sign up for my Gold or Platinum class, you get everything I've ever made and will make for free forever. Yeah, and if you buy my MBA program, you all know that any additions I add to it, and I had tons of stuff every year, you guys get for free forever. Okay. All right. Next up, Renbeer wrote, Chris, there is a fractional share. Is there a fractional options contract? No. Now, options are weird. Whenever you buy an option, they're in lots of 100, right? So it's bizarre. No, those don't exist. And options are very illiquid. And that's why whenever you see massive trades in options with a lot of volume, the SEC will look at it, which is what they did with David Geffen and Barry Diller's purchase of call options on Activision a couple days before Microsoft bought Activision. And a couple days before Microsoft bought Activision, according to the Wall Street Journal, David Geffen as well as Barry Diller met with Bobby Kotick, the founder and CEO of Activision. Yeah. And I remember, like, when I worked at Goldman Sachs, years ago, I remember right after 9/11, we eventually got to go back to work. And I was curious about the option activity on American Airlines, ticker AA, Continental, ticker CAL, and Delta, ticker DAL. I was curious, what was the option activity like a couple days before 9/11? And when you buy a put, that means you're betting the stock's going to go down. And I discovered that a couple days before 9/11, the put option volume, okay, on those three airlines I mentioned was at an all-time high. And I guarantee you that the United States government looked into that to find out where those trades came from. And every major trading floor was investigated. They did a lot of pre-Homeland Security due diligence as part of the Patriot Act to see where those trades came from. And we never heard, of course, the government wouldn't tell us, but we did hear that it came from Eastern Europe. Yeah. So the bottom line is whenever there's a big spike in options activity, governments always look into it. Yeah. And that was back then in 2001. And there's better sophistication now when it comes to analyzing that stuff. Let me go back to India. Beautiful India. Okay. All right. Next up, Fernando said, LOL, I laughed really hard when you said sell it now. I was thinking the same thing. Okay, will do. Yeah, I think so with that options contract you mentioned before, because I don't know how much more Twitter is going to go up, and you'll get the decay as well, time decay, okay, as it gets closer to expiration date. Now, the only thing that could obfuscate or kind of ruin that thesis I have there is if some other company were to come out of the woodworks and offer a bid for Twitter. Yeah. Okay. Which I don't think it's going to happen. Christina, how are you? Christina is president of the Haroun Education Ventures Alumni Association. She is our fearless leader. And Christina was actually in that video I showed of graduation earlier today. Great to see you. Christina and her husband, Christian, graduated from the Platinum program last year. And her husband, Christian, is one of the top executives on the planet in the video game sector. He works now at PlayStation. Before, he worked at LucasArts, really cool, as well as Electronic Arts. And he's a good dude as well. Yeah. So Christina wrote, good morning, Chris, and our amazing global MBA and webcast family. Hope you're having an outstanding week so far. Thank you, I am. Likewise. Cheers, Chris. I'm at 10 a.m. and 4,000 steps. Nice. You probably walked Isabella to school this morning. Fantastic. So for me, I am at in my water. Green screen's not going to work here. It's invisible water. I'm at 9 a.m. And I love this co-op petition. It's good for us. And then in terms of my steps, probably not very good. 237 steps so far, but I'll be walking throughout the day as well soon. Yeah. Okay. And I have to use blue as the background here because if I use green, because my eyes are greenish, my eyes, it looks like I have an empty soul, which might be the case. Like my eyes are greenish here and a little bit less so here. Yeah. And actors with green eyes, they usually wear contacts whenever they do green screen stuff. Yeah. All right. And then the Berlin wrote, Chris, don't worry. I got Burger King hands as well. Big hands. Yeah, no, I've got, I'm just a tiny human being, very small. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Ruby, who's in my platinum program, wrote here. Hold on, it skipped on me. Help. Oh, here we go. Chris, with the Federal Reserve looking to hike interest rates, how will this impact the housing market? Will it help bring housing prices down? Yeah, I think so. So historically speaking, whenever interest rates rise, then almost all asset classes fall. So in the early 1980s, and this is an extreme comparison, but in the early 80s, the Federal Reserve chairperson, Paul Volcker, God bless him, passed away recently. Paul Volcker made interest rates 20% in the United States. And he did that because inflation was way worse then than it is today, although it's really bad today. And by making interest rates about 20%, what happened was the stock market did terrible, because why would I buy stocks? I'll just keep it in the bank and make 20% risk-free. Also, not many companies were founded then. Like in VC, it was a death market, right? Because who the hell is going to invest in a venture capital firm when you can make 20% risk-free? In addition, hardly anybody bought houses. And I remember back in the early 80s, my dad had just started his company. He started actually in the late 70s, but in the early 80s, we lived in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. And I remember it was stressful for my father. He handled stress very well. However, he had a 20% mortgage rate on our house. And in Canada, you can't write off the interest on your mortgage. And so it was devastating for the housing market as well. So I do think that if rates go up quite a bit, then all other major risk asset classes, as well as real estate, will pull back. Yeah. And hopefully it becomes oversold so you can buy something on the cheap by comparing based on other prices of houses in the same location. Yeah, remember location. Yeah. Okay. All right, now we have Arjun, who has a question. Hi, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Likewise. What do you think about the subscription model in the future? Won't people get tired with this strings attached model in the future? No, I think it makes sense to do, and I'm starting to transition that way as well. The reason is that the sticker shock is a lot lower if you pay a monthly fee. And so all major corporations offer a subscription program. Now, with Netflix, instead of charging, say, $10 a month, if they charge you instead, the only way to buy Netflix on an annual basis was you pay $120. Not as many people would buy it because of the sticker shock. And with a lot of my courses, you know, the prices are lower, $9.99, because that's a charm pricing psychological level. And so for me, I have a $99 monthly subscription fee that you can access from my website, HarounMBA.com. And for that $99, you can get all my courses and the Silver MBA. Yeah, not gold or platinum. Yeah, but I'm starting to transition to do more subscription stuff because it's better for revenue visibility as well. And if you look at your credit card statement, like not everybody cancels subscriptions, like to magazines or, I don't know, streaming services. Yeah, people just don't do that as often. Yeah. Oh, Craig, thank you so much. You didn't have to do that. Thank you. Craig wrote, I'm late, but who won the scholarship so I can congratulate? Oh, thank you for that $20 donation. Thank you. That will definitely go to Project Magoo. Meaning the school we're building in Rwanda, and we're building one in Kenya next year with one of my students named Maureen Koros, and I'm flying to Kenya next year to build a school with her. Thank you for that. God bless you, Craig. Nobody won the scholarship because the scholarship is actually tomorrow. So tomorrow, please everybody join me at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's Friday, April 29th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And I'll have my annual MBA open house. I'll talk about the next MBA program, gold and platinum version, starting on June 1st. And I'll give away a bunch of prizes for everybody on the call as well. And thank you. God bless you for that. You didn't have to do that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right. Next up, I have got Christina who's the head of our alumni association, she's the president of it, wrote, Chris, I'm looking forward to being a part of your HEV MBA annual open house tomorrow, April 29th at 11 a.m. Thank you for including me. Remember, epic 12-hour open house on the 10th of October when I signed up for Platinum. No, thank you so much for that. Yeah, and I'll be interviewing Christina tomorrow, so you can all ask her questions. I'll interview Payton as well, who's also a Platinum graduate from my program. And what Christina is referring to is back in October of 2020, I had my first open house, and I took questions. And tomorrow I'll be taking questions forever, and I'm not going to stop it until there's no more questions. Okay, and you can do it over Zoom, so we can have like a big Zoom networking thing with all of us. But in October, we did 12 hours, yeah. And we're going back to basics, meaning marketing the way we did in 2020, before I made the mistake of working with a firm last year, which didn't market the way I wanted to market, yeah. Okay. Next up, Arjun wrote, Chris, I love your courses. I have access to all your courses via corporate. I can't comment or ask questions though. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, you're probably using Udemy Business, a subscription fee. Yeah, and you can join my MBA program if you want as well, because that's not available on UB, and I'd be happy to take your questions that way. Yeah, and you should be able to ask questions though. My team helps out with it within the course there, and maybe it's another company you're dealing with, not UB. Yeah, we work with a lot of companies globally. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then Anton wrote, how do I get a scholarship? If just send an email and plead your case to admissions@harounventures.com. Yeah. Okay. I got to remind myself why I do what I do. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Fernando wrote, good call. Very true about transparency, which builds trust. I was just saying that in regards to your advice to AR, so no one takes his ideas and whatnot. Yeah. And you can always talk to a lawyer first to trademark, patent, copyright your stuff. Yeah. Okay. Christoph wrote, are basically all of your courses inside the MBA program except the crypto course? No, I have updated everything. So every major business concept, including cryptos, and an updated version of the crypto stuff is in my MBA program, and much, much more. And I teach everything in a different way. Crypto is kind of similar, but everything else I teach a different way using different props, and tons of props as well. Yeah. All right. And I'm focusing, yeah. And then Christoph wrote here, can you please share with us which treadmill you use? I think I may get one. Yeah. So it's called Rhythm Fun. And it's $499 on Amazon. Yeah. Okay, moving on to Sundar, who wrote a request for you to share your view on the Sri Lankan economic crisis. I don't have any knowledge that would be helpful at all. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Yeah. But I expect the whole world to go through an economic crisis over the next 12 months. I think the whole world's going to go into a recession. Yeah. I mean, with inflation at 8.5%, right? Like, so we're all paying 8.5% more in America, at least. It's different globally. We're all paying 8.5% more for everything, right? For most stuff we're buying. Yet our salaries are not going up 8.5%. So that's certainly going to, be painful when it comes to consumer spending in America. We're going to spend less. And people don't realize that, we all know the United States economy is the biggest economy in the world. But people don't realize that 2/3 of the United States economy is consumer spending. It's not business, big business. It's consumer spending. And that's why the whole world watches consumer sentiment numbers that come out of the United States every couple of weeks or so. Yeah. Given globalization, we're all attached at the hip. Yeah. Now, the only thing that might obfuscate or nullify my thesis there about some sort of recession or pullback is if for some reason, and I'm praying this happens, Putin pulls out of Ukraine. Yeah. But if Putin didn't go into the Ukraine, inflation would have been an issue and rates would have gone up gradually. But because of Putin, rates are spiking a lot. Yeah. And most natty gas and oil in Europe comes from Russia. And the problem is that the way that the USSR was set up, post 1917, was that Ukraine was supposed to be the part of the Soviet Union that basically planted all the food that they eat. And so it's terrifying because Ukraine produces a lot of pasta through wheat, of course, and pasta prices have gone through the roof. And also in places like Egypt, where my father is from, most of the food they import from Ukraine. And so this is having a devastating impact from a humanitarian perspective first, and an economic perspective second. And given globalizations, the repercussions are being felt everywhere. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, I have got here. The Berlin wrote, Chris, due to your response on buying a home, do you recommend buying your first home even where interest rates are right now? Yeah. It all depends on the deal you can get based on location. Yeah. If you have enough for a down payment, I still think it makes sense. You got to do the work, though, the math on it. And what I would do is in Microsoft Excel, I would put this year, next year, all the way up to 50 years from now. And underneath that, put whatever amount you spend on rent, $600, whatever. And then you do, I'm going to show you guys right now. Okay, we'll do a quick exercise together. Okay, here we go. And let me go to Excel hell. Okay. All right. And I'll show you the time value of money here. Okay, great. So I'm going to go big screen, and I'll zoom in a bit so you can get some better real estate here. All right, so the year is 2022, okay? 2023, okay? And then 2024. And let's just say it's $600 a month in rent you pay, okay? Okay, give me 1 second to set this up. And I'll drag this out. I'll do 30 years instead. So I'll go out to 2052. Right there, perfect. Great, okay. Then I'm gonna set the interest rate here. So I'll call this interest rate right here. And I'll make it 5%, okay? All right, and let me make it here. And then we're gonna do net present value. And I'm gonna name this cell here, interest rates, so the math makes sense for us. So we can get Excel to talk English. Interest underscore rate, good, okay. Now I'm gonna do the net present value of what that $600 is worth over time using that interest rate. So equals NPV, that's net present value, open brackets. What's the rate? Well, it's right there, see interest rate. And what's the values? Well, all these values here, okay, all the way up 30 years from now up to 2052, enter. Okay, okay, great. And hold on 1 second, I think I screwed something up. Let me do that again. NPV. Okay, the rates, I'll type in 0.05. Let me see if that works. And then I'll do all of these numbers here. Is that right? That can't be right. Give me 1 second, guys. I must be doing something wrong here. Hold on a second, guys. And net present value. I've done this a million times in my life. Rate. Oh my God, that's 600. I'm such a freaking idiot. $600 per year. It's supposed to be per month. Okay, good. Stay with me, please. Okay, remember, you get a 30-day money-back guarantee in my course if I have senior moments. That's $600 per year. I'm going to make it per month equals 600 times 12. Okay, here we go. Good, nice. Okay, good. Oh, that's more like it. Okay, good. All right. So this is how much money you'll be saving, right? And let me actually take the interest rate here. Hold on. Okay, good. Yeah, $112,000 in the long run. Okay, so that's how much money that is worth. So the sooner you can actually buy a place, the better. And this is not the best example, sorry, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so using time value of money, instead of paying $600 per month, you'll be able to save this much money. Yeah, and I really butchered that, guys, and I'm so sorry. All right. The older I get, the better I was. I had a senior moment there. I'm sorry, but we're good to go. Okay. All right. Fred, how are you? Fred Mendoza, great to see you, brother. Great to see you. Fred graduated from my MBA last year, I think it was. Andre is currently in my MBA program. Good to see you as well. All right, and then Tado, good morning. How are you? Harsh, how are you? Oh no, Harsh said, hi Chris, I have COVID. I'm so sorry to hear that. And I usually see you every week at 10 a.m. on our silver office hours call after this call is done. I hope you feel better, brother. I hope you feel better. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. Yeah. Okay. And my family, my brother's family had it. My sister's family had it as well. We haven't had it here. Maybe we have, I don't know. But I carry one of these things on me all the time, given the green screen. Yeah, it doesn't work that well. I'm so tempted to do a dad joke about this, but I'm not, because COVID's a serious issue. Yeah. Okay, I hope you feel better, brother. All right, Mobola7, first time I've seen you. Welcome. I hope you join us again. Wrote, good morning, Chris. I love taking your Udemy courses, watching and learning from you. Thank you. Just a question about the housing situation. Are there any discounts? Thank you. Appreciate your advice. Okay, discounts on my MBA program. Yeah, just send a message to admissions@harounventures.com and let me know what MBA program you want to buy and which courses you purchase on Udemy, and I'll work out a discount for you. Yeah. All right, and give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Okay. All right. Next up, I have got here. P Hats wrote, I would like to ask you if you have available hours for one-on-one mentoring, because I have quite a few questions and considerations I would love discussing with you. Yeah. In my Platinum program, if you sign up right now, you can start booking meetings right away. Yeah. So if you want to, so when you sign up for the Platinum program, what you get is you get 9 one-on-one meetings that are 20 minutes each. Okay. So you go here to HarounMBA.com, you scroll down, and then right here, you can purchase the Platinum program. Okay, it's $1,000 off now, just for this one here. Yeah, and then you could start getting one-on-one meetings right away. Okay, so purchase the program, and then send me a message to admissions@harounventures.com and say, Chris, I purchased the program. And then I'll give you my schedule, and we could start booking the 9 20-minute one-on-ones. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay. All right. Next up, Andre wrote, hey, Chris, hope all is well. Likewise. I have a question concerning Twitter and Elon Musk. How will the platform change with him? What are your thoughts on the stock price? Yeah, so the stock price is below 54.20. Basically, what that's saying is the market is saying that they don't think somebody else is going to come and buy the company. And what usually happens is the price of the acquisition price is usually a little bit below where it's announced. And the closer we get to when the deal closes, that spread compresses. If interest rates are high, the discount is high. If interest rates are low, the discount, meaning the difference between the spread, is less. And eventually, when the deal closes in 6 months, that closes. Now, if there's speculation somebody else might come in and buy Twitter, which the market is not expecting right now, then what happens is the price quite often goes above the offer price. Yeah. Okay. Now, in terms of how will the platform change with him, well, he's already publicly disclosed that he's going to do a couple of things. One is he's going to allow you to actually edit your tweets, which is frustrating. Sometimes I'll tweet something and I'll want to edit it, and I'm like, oh, God, I have to delete it and then repost it. That's kind of moronic. So he'll change that. He'll also, and he said this publicly, he'll also make sure that bots aren't allowed to use the platform. All right, he'll use some sort of AI to decipher if you're human or not. I don't know, maybe using CAPTCHAs, or, when they ask you which one of these are traffic lights. And I always get it wrong because I'm like, is the pole part of it or just the light? I don't know. Yeah. He'll also make sure that more people are allowed on the platform. Like, he'll let Trump come on. Trump already says he doesn't want to do it. And he'll also ensure that there isn't a left-wing or right-wing bent to it. Okay? So that everybody is heard, because he is a believer in freedom of speech. And I love that too. My favorite license plate is the state of New Hampshire, where on the bottom it says, "Live free or die." And Elon's one of my heroes for doing this as well, because I found over the past couple of years, once COVID started, the whole world's moving a little bit too left-wing. Okay, and China's becoming more communist for the first time in my life. Even in Canada, people lost rights. My brother, he wanted to go to the cottage, and he put his kids in the car, and the police were like, "I'm going to fine you. I'm going to fine you $150 per kid." In the car if you go. So people are losing rights. So I love Elon Musk. So I've got to wrap up this week's call, guys, because I got to do the silver call. So if you're in my silver MBA degree program, just go to the first lecture in the program, in the curriculum. Okay. And you'll get a link for office hours for all of you. I'll do Zoom with you. Starts at 10 a.m. in a couple of minutes. And if you're in my platinum or gold program, I'm looking forward to doing one-on-ones with you later today, as well as our 2-hour office hours call starting at 11:20 today. Last thing I'll say is please join us tomorrow, Friday, April 29th at 11 a.m. Pacific time on my YouTube channel. I'm reading for my annual Haroun Gold and Platinum MBA degree program open house. Everybody joining will get a couple of free items, including, for the first time ever, my audiobook. I've never given that away. It's only been on audible.com, and other prizes. And also, one person on tomorrow's call will win a 100% scholarship to my platinum program. Check out my MBA program by going to HarounMBA.com. Looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. If there's a lot more questions, looks like there's tons more here, then just please copy them and ask me next week, or ask me during the silver office hours or gold platinum office hours, or join tomorrow. Because tomorrow I'm going to do unlimited Q&A after I present a couple slides. And let me actually show you real quick here. This will take me 10 seconds. What I'm going to do tomorrow. Okay. So let me insert, and I'll show you guys behind the scenes here too. So I'm going to be doing a PowerPoint presentation in the background for the first time ever. Okay, so let me share a screen. Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to go over here to PowerPoint. There it is. Good. Okay, good. And on this screen here, I'm going to select the PowerPoint slides, and I'll wrap this up in a second, guys. Hold on. Okay, so we're going to do a window, and we'll share slides. Here we go. Microsoft PowerPoint. Here we go. Slides. Great. Let's see if this works out. Okay. No. Is it working? Hold on a second, guys. Yeah. There it is there. Okay, great. And then what I'll do is let me just drag this over a bit here. And then I've got to resize this as well. There we go. Right there. Nice. And I'll be doing it this way tomorrow. And I'll be standing on the left side as well. That's the last slide. That's why. So yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah. So that's how it's going to look. Again, I'll be saying